Welcome back to Your Checkup. We are the patient education podcast where we bring conversations from the doctor's office to your ears. On this podcast, we try to bring medicine closer to its patients. I'm Ed Dulesky, a family medicine resident in the Philadelphia area.
And I'm Nicole Rufo. I'm a nurse.
And we are so excited that you were able to join us again today. Ollie is sitting at our feet. He's taking the week off, and he is just resting at this point. So I've noticed that Activia commercials have yeeted Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, they have.
Was she canceled, or is just her time has come and gone?
Maybe she's just retired from yogurt.
Now they've just got people dancing on the screen trying to make Activia cool again.
Wait, was that... what was the commercial? Was it for Activia? And we were like, oh my God, they brought the dogs into this. Or was that Skechers?
It might have been Skechers. They also seem to be taking a different marketing approach recently. So that's awesome. More Snoop Dogg for Skechers.
Gosh, he's everywhere.
He really is.
It's the face of the Olympics.
It's Snoop Dogg's world, and we're just living in it. So far we've talked about Activia, Snoop Dogg, and Skechers. Let's see. Poor Jamie Lee Curtis. She probably lost a lot of money for that.
Yeah, I feel like she's doing fine. She had that new Halloween movie like a couple years ago.
When will those stop?
Hopefully never. They're so bad, they're good.
It's just like the Housewives for Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're rewatching The Housewives. It's so good.
Oh, it's fantastic. There's nothing like Italian family drama.
I'm so jealous because Eddie's seeing it for the first time with fresh eyes.
Yeah, let us know what your favorite TV show would be to have seen for the first time again after you've seen it, and look on it as if it's completely new. All right. So we've been marching along here with our little obesity as a chronic disease mini-series. And the last couple episodes, we've talked about various topics. We talked about why weight's important. We talked about what making change looks like. We've talked about balanced nutrition. And last week, we talked about the obesity set point theory and why it's challenging to lose weight. But this week, what are we going to talk about, Nick?
This week, we're talking about weight loss, specifically without medication and with lifestyle changes.
Yeah. These days, there are multiple ways to... What's the new way to say this?
Say what?
Skinning a cat isn't the way to say it anymore.
Multiple ways to skin a cat?
Well, there are multiple ways to treat this condition. And today, the lifestyle is what we're going to focus on. One of the main things we want you to know up front is that it's very easy to become overwhelmed and discouraged when starting this journey.
Mm-hmm.
And losing weight and having the motivation to do so should come from a place of very specific, intentional goals that you should reflect on. Because the changes that you'll make will be long-term if you are to be effective in managing this condition. So let's talk about the first weight loss goal. What is the first weight loss goal that someone should have when they're starting on this journey?
So initially, and this is often overlooked, that your first weight loss goal should be to avoid gaining any more weight. And then once you kind of do that and achieve that, then you can focus on losing weight.
That's awesome. And then the way that I look at actual weight loss, which is specifically trying to lose body fat, I look at it.
Which that's also like a dance.
That is a dance.
Yeah.
That's actually a rather technical dance that I haven't even figured out. So we'll leave that for another time. But I would say I look at it as a clinical response. Like, what amount of weight can you lose that it actually affects your body? It affects how your body processes blood sugar and processes fat, how your heart works, how your lungs work, how your liver works. So what amount of weight loss will you start to see benefits throughout the body?
You'll start to see benefits after a 5% weight loss. So there's not, a certain set number of amount of pounds because it's going to be different for everybody. And if you just take how much you weigh, I don't know if this is dumb, but people also may not know. if you take how much you weigh, and we're just going off of pounds here, times 0.05, and then that number is how many pounds to lose. That equals 5%.
Great. And that's the second weight loss goal. Goals beyond that get a little more specific to you as an individual. You can look at increments of 5%. So your next goal could be 10%. Or if you're in a certain BMI range, you may look to get to below that threshold. Say your BMI is 42. Say you've lost 5%. Make your next goal to be under 40 for your next BMI. What's a good percentage where you start to see an excellent response on systems throughout the body?
That's going to be at about 15%.
Awesome. And this kind of pays homage to our old episode where we were able to discuss that once you get below that BMI of 30, which sometimes can be a long road, but once
15% is a lot.
And 15% is a lot. And that would be something to celebrate. But once you get below that BMI of 30, those risks that are surrounded around obesity go away. Awesome. So now that we've set our goals and we've had a healthy conversation about that, let's go back and forth and talk about some sort of lifestyle changes that people can make. So I'll start us off and say that the main goals are to change your eating habits, become more active, and become more aware of how much you eat. I would say it's easiest to look for low nutrition, high calorie meals, and sugary drinks as the first things to evaluate in your diet to see if you can make a change. Is that realistic?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty easy one.
Okay. I was telling someone because they said that they really went, they really liked their sugary drinks. They loved iced tea, and they did their whole meal diary for me in the office. Their recall, because oftentimes people will ask you to recall what you've eaten, and I really couldn't find much. But then we talked about what she was drinking, and there was a lot of sugary drinks. I was saying, why don't you not do it during the week?
Yeah, that's a good start. Or if you are drinking some sort of sugary drink with every meal, maybe start with only having it with dinner.
Yeah.
Or with lunch, and then maybe only on the weekends.
Absolutely. And
or
I
just
can't
drink water.
Or
drink
just
more water.
Drink more water. I can't help but think back to the episode about the stages of change. Maybe not one of our most popular episodes, but certainly one of the most
rude for not listening to that one.
Because it's so important for you to know where you are in that circle to be ready for these changes, because you might not be as successful if you haven't prepared for it. So that's what we'll say about that. Look for those sugary drinks, look for those high calorie meals or snacks, and see if you might be able to reduce the amount that you have them, cut them out entirely if you can, or swap them out for another option. Great. What's the next one that we might talk about?
The next one is, which I guess kind of goes along with being aware of what you're eating, but being mindful when you are eating. Unlike you and your chips.
Oh my God, I'm all over this. I mean, not to talk about the Sam's Club tortilla chips again. Please sponsor us.
Oh, please don't.
That, I went into this place where I just literally turned off the mind, turned on the jaw, and just started chewing, and wouldn't stop. And I wanted that salt. I wanted that taste again. I reached my hand in the bag, mouth, mouth.
Well, and it just kind of becomes a habit. Yeah. Especially if which we do a lot, we eat while we watch TV, which probably isn't the healthiest thing, but then that becomes a habit. Every time you're sitting down to watch TV, you need to chew on something or to crunch on something or have that motion of your hand to your mouth.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like quitting smoking.
Smoking.
People say that.
The sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
But another vulnerable area is I can't help but think about is if we're sitting down to eat and you're eating something and you're on your phone scrolling, not you, but me, I've noticed I'm on my phone scrolling and I don't even remember the meal.
Really?
Does that ever happen to you?
No.
Yeah. I'll eat and I'm like, oh, it's done. And I like didn't sit and appreciate what I was eating, probably didn't taste it. And now the meal is done.
You do that. Or like just like the mindless eating of like chips or other snacks. Like you've like finished something and then like I've watched you like look back and be like, oh, it's gone.
Yeah. And like
you had no idea. You blacked out and had no idea.
And
what
I had
happened.
no idea. Yeah. And it just happens like that, which I feel like I'm not the only one out there.
Yeah.
Please shout us out in the fan mail if you feel like this was a relatable story for you. But to get at that, I would propose you practice mindful eating. Are you able to give us a pitch on what that might be?
Yeah. So focusing on one, eating more slowly, focusing on like what you're eating. The food is in front of you. This is what you're eating. You're eating because you're hungry, not just because you are watching TV or you're bored.
Yeah. Really being present in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of other mindfulness activities that people use for various other tasks, but mindful eating might be a way for you to approach your next meal. Like whenever you're listening to this, the next meal you have, think about it. Like don't be doing anything else except for chewing. Focusing on that salad. See how tasty it is. And then you'll feel better about it because you were actually there to experience it. Wow, we had such different life experiences in that way. I didn't realize that you like this didn't happen to you at all.
Mm-mm.
This is like a routine thing for me.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So another thing to think about is using a smaller plate so that there's frankly just less to put on there.
Mm-hmm.
And we really want to remind you to remember those concepts about balanced nutrition. And so if you have to refer back to that episode about balanced nutrition, the basics, do that after you listen to this episode because these go hand in hand. So this is like a kind of a sucky journey. And no one likes taking things away. But what should people do when they reach their goals?
You should celebrate them.
Yeah. How? Should go get like ice cream or go?
No, so you should, which that can also, I feel like maybe lead to like not healthy behaviors if you're using food. Like you're taking away food and then you're using food like as a reward, you know? So if you hit a goal and you're celebrating it, maybe, I don't know, do something else that maybe doesn't surround food.
Yeah. Maybe go do an activity.
Yeah. Go to the beach.
Go to the beach, see a movie, and popcorn.
Buy yourself something.
Yeah, buy yourself something. Be like celebrate this because you're working hard. You're changing your body for the better. So in the next portion of the episode, we're going to talk about some of the most common eating plans and strategies that people use that differ from their normal daily diets and what they put in their body. And the first one that I'll introduce are portion-controlled diets and resources like a meal replacement. Oftentimes people will look for meal replacement bars or they'll look for meal replacement drinks. One that's coming to mind are these like high protein drinks that we keep around here, which have 30 grams of protein and 160 calories. Sometimes people will flip them out for a whole meal. And I would say there is some treachery because they can be very calorically dense, which you have to pay attention to, especially with those nutrition bars. You have anything to say about meal supplements or nutrition bars?
Not particularly.
Okay.
Regarding portion control.
All right. What's the next eating plan that we'll talk about that sometimes are employed?
So one that's common that people seem to gravitate toward is any version of a low carb diet.
These go by multiple names.
Yeah. So right now it's keto. The South Beach diet and Atkins were really popular in like the early 2000s. They all basically operate on the same principle of limited carb intake.
Yeah, like they exist on a spectrum. So like the formal keto diet employs anywhere from 20 to 30 grams of carbs per day, which when you compare to the standard diet, which probably contains 200 to 300, And sometimes when people aren't paying attention, even numbers in excess of that, there is quite the range of opportunity to change how many carbs you're eating in the course of the day.
I think those ones can be a little bit extreme and maybe not the most sustainable.
Me too. Especially when we consider what we talked about last week, where these have to have longevity. Like, who's going to go ahead and, I mean, I'm sure there's a keto community out there. So the idea behind the keto diet is that it changes your body's metabolism to rather use energy from ketones, which are produced when your body enters a starvation state. But like we were saying, I'm not sure how much longevity that eating plan has. We were talking about this when we were thinking about making these episodes. I mean, like some people, 200 to 300, like if people were to take a look at how many carbs they were eating, I feel like there's probably a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah.
That also might just be reasonable. That's not 20 grams.
That's a lot of carbs. 200 to 300. All right. And what's the last eating plan that we're going to talk about today?
So the last eating plan that we're talking about and you can look and read more about is the Mediterranean diet. Why is this one so important in terms of its benefit?
The Mediterranean diet has been around for a while and it's been very well studied and can decrease our cardiovascular risk.
Which is why it's so important and oftentimes one that's recommended in the office for patients who are at higher risk for heart disease. The main principles of this diet actually include a higher tide of fruits and vegetables. One of the main principles for this diet is a higher tide of fruits and vegetables. What are we talking about here?
The Mediterranean diet is somewhere around 7 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, rather than, the standard recommendation of about 5. Which even 5 is hard. So
which we were talking 5 seems even hard. So 7 to 10 seems like a lot. A focus on legumes. Can I get a legume?
Love a legume.
What's an example of a legume?
Like beans.
Beans.
Yeah.
Is an almond a legume? Or is that a nut? Lentil?
A lentil's a legume.
Is it legume or legume?
Oh my God.
No, I'm serious. Because
Wait,
if it was legume,
it
it would be Legoom.
No, it wouldn't.
Legume.
Legume.
Am I giving it too much French? Legume.
Yeah.
Legume.
Legume.
You pronounce it.
Legume.
Legume.
Not legume. Legoom.
You're being a luguber right now.
I know you're just learning how to read, so.
And this diet also is high in monounsaturated fats coming from olive oil, walnuts, pecans. Oh, not another one. Pecan, almonds, and endorses a relatively low amount of red meat and substitutes fish or poultry for the red meat. All right.
That's like the people that live in the blue zones.
The blue zones?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about those.
Well, I don't know a lot about them. There's a documentary about them on Netflix, I think.
Oh, okay. What are the blue zones though?
I think they're big. Well, okay, I can't really talk about it because I didn't watch it, but from what I've read in the New York Times and stuff, I think it's big in the Mediterranean diet, and they're the parts of the world where people live the longest.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something to it.
But then there are other lifestyle things and stuff that they do, but diet's a big one.
Gotcha. And one of the, we don't have it in our notes here, but I kind of wanted to propose a math problem. So we definitely talked last time that the problem of obesity is not a simple math one. Mm-hmm. And calories in, calories out may be at the core of it, but it is not the answer for everything. And if you were to consider that 3,500 calories is a caloric pound, you can do a little math problem and give yourself separate amounts of time to see what sort of a change in your lifestyle with your diet that you might need to do to be able to accomplish your goals, right?
Yep.
So if you were to try to lose...
And if we're going by just talking strictly like math problems here and calories in versus calories out, it said that this like standard healthy and sustainable weight loss is about 1 to 2 pounds a week. And if you do that math, theoretically, if you were to either eat less or burn an extra, or eat 500 calories less or burn an extra 500 calories a day for 7 days, that's 3,500 calories, which equals a pound.
Right.
Which can be a lot for every single day, especially if you're making new changes. So that does make sense that 1 pound a week would be realistic.
Yeah. And that sounds great. So then maybe after, and if that's not realistic, and that you don't have that much room to make a change, like you can't find 500 calories, then maybe you can extend it out and try to make a change for 250 calories a day. And then you may see that same change in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you can find 125 calories in a day. And I mean, you can look in your fridge or your pantry and find so many things that are right around that ballpark. We're talking like 2 cookies. If a cookie is like 70 calories, 2 cookies there. Or a bag of potato chips is probably like 150 calories. And it's all in the choices that you're making for yourself right in front of you. So what are your, when we think about making these lifestyle changes, I happen to think that they're very hard. And we talked about 2 eating plans, and changing how you're eating seems so difficult, not even considering that maybe you're living with other people who also are going to be eating around you. Right? Like, it's all well and good for us to say these things, and like there's obviously certain things that can be done, like reducing how many calories you take in a day if there are obvious things that you're doing. Like if you're drinking 32 ounces of soda a day, bingo. There it is with the calories.
Not the diet soda. I mean, it is hard. So I'm like, if like you live with people or you live with your significant other and you guys like to go out to dinner, like we do. Or
right.
Like or like it's summer, maybe you're out by the pool or you're going to the beach and you want to have a couple of drinks, or it's nice out so you want to go to happy hour, or just like those like lifestyle things.
Exactly.
Are hard.
They are hard.
Because then it's like, okay, do I just not, I don't know, maybe your friends are going out to dinner and you're like, oh, do I just skip this and miss out on this? Or
because then there's like experience, and this like goes back to what we were talking about episodes ago, where like all of this is social and cultural, which makes this such a complicated disease. Because then you're suffering from isolation and you're like missing out on experiences, like you said. But it is possible, and we gave you some tools today to reflect on what you're putting into your body and how much activity you're having, so that you might be able to make a meaningful difference and get started with treating your obesity with your lifestyle changes. And all of it's right in front of you, honestly, and the decisions that you make, and you just have to be able to see it throughout your day. All right. So thank you so much for coming back to another episode of Your Checkup. Hopefully you were able to learn something for yourself, a loved one, or
a neighbor.
And please feel free to check out our website, check out our Instagram. Please use our fan mail to reach out to us. We're getting a lot of fan mail, but it's from one individual. And that's awesome. But we'd love to have a diverse, messages in our fan mail. If you feel like donating to the podcast, please find our Buy Me a Coffee website, or our website has a little button you can click to become a monthly subscriber. And beyond that, we hope that you stay healthy, my friends. And until next time, I'm Ed Dulesky.
I'm Nicole Arufo.
Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.
This information may provide a brief overview of diagnosis, treatment, and medications. It's not exhaustive and is a tool to help you understand potential options about your health. It doesn't cover all details about conditions, treatments, or medications for a specific person. This is not medical advice or an attempt to substitute medical advice. You should contact a healthcare provider for personalized guidance based on your unique circumstances. We explicitly disclaim any liability relating to the information given or its use. This content doesn't endorse any treatments or medications for a specific patient. Always talk to your healthcare provider for a complete information tailored to you. In short, I'm not your doctor.
I am not your nurse.
And make sure you go get your own checkup with your own personal doctor.